So then you see the job advert, it might be online, something like that, then you send in your CV and application form, and then, if you're lucky, you might get a letter saying, well, either, yes, please come for an interview, or no thanks. So, to make sure that your CV stands out from the crowd, we have Penny Strutton here, who is a professional career coach. I've called you the CV doctor, is that all right?
I like it, yes.
Okay, a new little title for yourself.
Thank you.
So then, some people go to quite long lengths, don't they, with their... We'll come back to the CVs, but I've heard stories of people sending things with their application.
Yes, there were some articles out recently which I did enjoy reading, where somebody sent a shoe to get a foot in the door.
What?
And somebody else sent a cake with their CV iced and written on top of the icing. I must say, I 10 points for effort, but. I think be very careful when you are deciding to send something quirky in with your CV.
It's that's a gamble as well, because chances are you don't know the person, do you?
Absolutely.
So you don't know if it's something humorous. You don't know how they're going to take that.
Yes, I think it depends on the industry and the job that you're applying for. I think if you're in the creative industries and you want to demonstrate your creative skills, being able to send something that demonstrates that is fantastic. I mean, there was another example about somebody who'd created a box that was all branded in the organization's branding with his CV, very creatively printed on the box, and I'm sure that was an interesting CV to receive. Receiving a shoe is a bit laughable, and you don't want to be laughed at. You want someone to say, wow, this person actually does have the skills to do this. I'd want to meet them. So it's all about getting across the skills that you have and your potential to be able to work in that organisation and do a job in that organisation.
Right. So to gimmick or not to gimmick? That's the question.
Well, gimmick if it's the right industry, and gimmick if you're able to demonstrate your skills.
Right.
The lady who sent in a cake wasn't applying for a baking job, and I doubt anybody would have eaten the cake. So, it probably was something that was talked about a lot, but not necessarily something that demonstrated her capability to do a job at that creative organisation. So just think about what message you're trying to get across. Yes, you want to come across as keen and interested and committed to a job with the organisation, but be professional, and remember, a CV, no matter what form it comes in, is all about demonstrating your ability and the skills and experience that you have.
Okay, we'll get onto the CV specifically in a minute. Aside from gimmicks and the likes then, if you apply for quite a few jobs per week and then hearing nothing back, I mean, that's incredibly frustrating, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and remember, applying for a job and looking for work is not just about sending CVs in. It's about really understanding the organisation that you're applying to and demonstrating to them that it's actually them that you want to work for, and it's that job that you want to do. So tailoring your CV and tailoring your approach is incredibly important if you're hoping for a response. People who just fire off applications via the internet, I would be very surprised if they got many requests for interview coming from that. It's got to be tailored, and yes, the internet and making applications online is one part of job seeking, but it's also very important that you get out there and raise your profile and get to know people in the industry and the organisations, so you actually are a known product. Send a CV and pick up the phone, make sure they get it, follow it up. You have to be very proactive in your job search. You can't expect to just send a CV and hope for a response.
Right. It's an interesting point. It's an important point, that whole thing of tailoring, because back in the old days when you used to type out your CV and then print it, you would probably photocopy it a few times and think, that'll do for the same job. It won't anymore, will it?
No, absolutely, because you are amongst many others who are also looking for a job. So you do need to raise your profile. You do need to stand out of the crowd. That doesn't mean you send a shoe. It could mean that you do a video CV and you send that through, accompanied by a more traditional CV, accompanied by a phone call to the right person. yes, you really need to try hard and adapt your approach according to the business and to the job that you're applying for.
Okay. Now, I've heard it said that when you get to a certain age, now this is going back to before your time, Penny, but O-levels as opposed to GCSEs. People worry about putting any kind of reference to O-levels on there because straight away the employer might look at it and think, oh, well, that's out of date.
Yeah, sure. If O-levels are your only qualification, then you should put it down. If you have other qualifications, then I would imagine O-levels probably are not necessary to feature on your CV. It's important that whatever you put in your CV, remember your CV is a snapshot of your career and your academic career. You don't have to put absolutely everything on there. So you've got to put what's relevant to the job and to the employer. If O-levels is your only qualification, that's fine, put it down. But if you've got A-levels, you've got a degree, put your A-levels and a degree. I mean, you might be referring to it coming across as ageist. As long as you're able to demonstrate the skills, your transferable skills and the experience that you've developed over your career, I don't see that as a problem.
Okay, fine. So if you've got qualifications, stick them in there, and the more relevant, the better, of course. We'll come back and we'll talk about some specific do's and don'ts in a moment. Now, if you've got a question about putting together your perfect CV or as good a CV as you can possibly do, get in quick, because the CV doctor will see you now. You don't have to make an appointment 3 weeks ahead or anything. You'll do it now, 934 3434. You can text as well, not send your message, 81333. It's BBC Radio Nottingham. So then, some advice for you from Penny this morning, the CV doctor, a professional career coach, and this is particularly when it comes to what to put on your CV, what to make you stand out from the crowd. So you're going for these jobs, you're looking for a change of career, whatever you're up to. So some specific do's and don'ts then, Penny, when it comes to your CV. What would you advise?
Right, well, specifically the do's. Get your spelling right, get the grammar right, do a spell check. The amount of CVs that I've seen that have errors, well, all the way through, some of them, it's criminal. Those are the basics. The formatting, make sure it's in 1 or 2 fonts, not in 5 psychedelic fonts. Make sure it sticks to 2 pages if you can. Remember, as I said earlier, it's a snapshot. You're not there to give details of every job you've had or to detail the job description of every job you've had. It's a snapshot, and trying to keep it to 2 pages is best. Essentially, what you're trying to do is show the recruiter that you're worthwhile of bringing in for an interview. So it's getting all those key skills, those transferable skills, right there in the top of your CV, so it can be viewed as soon as somebody looks at it. And a recruiter will only look at a CV for up to 15 seconds, and I've heard as little as 8. So you've really got to grab attention. So being as clear as possible in your formatting is very, very important. Don'ts. As I said, don't use multiple fonts that are really hard to read. Don't write essays. Keep bullet points. Keep it short. Do maybe use different coloured paper, for example. That will help you stand out a bit. And do always follow up. If you're going to send your CV anywhere, follow up with your CV. And also think about the type of jobs that you're going for. The style will the type of job you go for will dictate the style you use. So if you've had a very steady career and been promoted in a certain industry, you might want to follow a chronological CV that demonstrates the jobs and your promotions. If you've had a bit more of a portfolio career where you've done a number of different things, you might want to focus more on the skills and have a skills-based CV.
Yeah, and again, the more relevant to the job you're going for,
absolutely,
the better.
Absolutely.
Just on the chronological thing, quick question about what order you put them in. The most recent at the top?
The most recent at the top.
Okay, and then back over time.
Yes, and really, if if you've had a number of jobs over the last 20 years, you don't necessarily need to put in all the jobs you've ever had. Going back to about 10 years is probably sufficient.
Okay. Let me bring in Jason. He's in Long Eaton and mid-40s. You've got a question about how you sort of move ahead, I think, Jason, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Morning, Mark. Yeah, what it is, I'm in my mid-40s, and for the last 3 years I've been full-time carer to my daughter, so that means I've got quite a substantial work break. Previously worked in IT, and I've had a business, but I'm conscious that I now have no references to put on my CV, and wondering also how to get over the negative perception of having such a long work break.
Good point. Okay, Penny, what do you think?
Right, well, hi, Jason. Interesting to know whether you're looking to get back into the same line of work as you were in before.
Something probably more down the social marketing trend, so away from my background is IT hardware, which is basically a dead industry now, so moving more along to the social media side.
Okay. Well, really, the first thing that stands out to me is that, yes, you might have had a work break, but you've obviously been very busy caring for your daughter. And in that time, you will have developed a whole host of skills which you might never have used before, but you certainly can use going forward in your career. And it's about looking at the skills that you've developed, not just in your work life, but across your whole life, and actually thinking about how you can use those skills in a transferable way. Yes, it has been a break from work, but obviously you've been busy. Obviously, you've got a lot of experience and skills in the IT world, so you will have a lot of transferable skills now moving into the world of social media. So it's very much about putting together a CV that demonstrates and clusters those transferable skills. But I would definitely recommend getting out there, doing your research into the types of organizations that you'd like to work for, and going and meeting them, doing some research interviews, finding out from others about how the market might have changed, and start to see how your skills can plug some gaps for them. And that will help you in terms of how you approach future employers, how you market yourself to future employers. But really, don't think about the last 3 years as negative. It certainly will have built a number of skills and strengths to you and your character and your resilience that you can use to demonstrate to future employers.
Okay. Jason, okay. I wish you well with it. Good luck.
Thank you.
You mentioned as well about referee references. It's a good point, actually, because a lot of people talk about that. Who do you choose as a good reference?
Well, certainly people, past employers, previous clients. I heard that you said you had your own business, so previous clients, anybody that can give you a character reference from the community, but somebody really that can vouch for your ability and skills and commitment.